It's the 28th of June, 2016. Almost the end of June. So something happened yesterday that I didn't really comment on, but I just want to make a quick comment on it this morning. So, just like last year, the group of Diamond Club people, a family of fans, got together to vote for their shows on the podcast awards. And again, one of us made a tool to kind of remind us all of the slate that we're voting for. It's totally not against the rules. So essentially, yesterday, Cochran and all of them went, "That's cheating, you can't do that." I should say initially, because then later on in the day they said, "Well, actually, we apologize. If you think we need to..." Well, actually, here's their initial statement, and then I'll read the statement they made afterwards. So initially, they said the following. "Cheating exposed during awards ceremony. We are going to proceed with an investigation. All announced winners are on hold at this time. An illegal off-site voting system apparently was used. If your show was on this list, do not celebrate hat.t2.eu, which was the site that all of us used to remember what shows to vote for." I'm guessing in true Diamond Club fashion, they got lit on fire. They really didn't know what they were dealing with, I don't think. Plus, not only are you dealing with just Diamond Clubbers, you're dealing with the fans of every single one of those shows. So then they stepped back and made the following statement. "The voting tool which facilitated expedited voting for a group of shows, while not illegal in this year's rules, affects the future participation of the podcast awards. If some feel an apology is needed on our negative reaction to this tool, so be it, we apologize. This tool's usage will invoke significant changes, though, if the awards survive." Look, a group of fans got together and voted for shows that they like. Plain and simple. The whole point of the podcast awards is that they are voted for by fans. So a reaction like this pretty much proves one thing and one thing alone to me. The podcast awards are a joke. I hate to say it, but pretty much that's what they are. Let alone this year, if you won a podcast award, in order to get the trophy, you have to pay $300 in order to get it. That means if I had become part of the Diamond Club slate and won any of this, as a small timer, I couldn't afford it anyway. So yeah, this whole situation is just ridiculous. The podcast awards has sour grapes. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the final straw that shows what a joke it has become. So yeah. It's no longer about what the fans vote for, clearly, or they would have not reacted this way. Because this is them going, "Boo-hoo, a bunch of fans got together," when that's supposed to be the whole point. So yeah, I thought the podcast awards were getting a bit ridiculous anyway, but this is just the final straw. And that's all I've got to say about it. Which, by the way, if this continues, if the podcast awards survive, as it were, forbidding from using a tool is not going to stop a group of fans from still getting together, making a list somewhere, and doing it. It's just not going to stop. So either accept that fans getting together is perfectly reasonable and everything, like it should be, or just stop your pathetic attempt at something that's supposed to be people's choice, and when the people choose, you get angry. I know this sounds mildly salty, but hey, that's kind of how I feel whenever people do stuff and someone spits in their face. And in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that.
So whenever I run out of podcasts, and I always listen to things, earbuds, right? Anyway, when I run out of podcasts, usually, since I've got a bunch of them in the hopper, I've been listening to some Big Finish audios. Doctor Who, of course. There's always this nice little cognitive dissonance that happens sometimes when you get an actor you like in something else showing up in another thing. If you're watching it on television, usually you get that immediate snap of, "Oh, look who just walked on set." But in audio, it's a bit more difficult. So imagine my surprise when Hugh Fraser, the guy that plays Hastings in Perot, suddenly showed up as a Nazi. Took me a second to realize who it was, and then I heard the kind of little telltales of his specific voice, and I looked at the album art, and sure enough, it was Hugh Fraser. Yeah, that was rather entertaining for 2 hours. So yeah, the Doctor Who Big Finish audio crisscross, can't remember what number it is. But there's a Nazi Hugh Fraser in it. He did a cracking good job too, as always.
Minutes to figure out what y'all want to do with your characters.
I already know what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
Well, I need my turn.
He said
Right now you're going through woods, heavy woods, so your movement now is by a third.
We don't have
Phase spiders. Blink!
Was doing something and actually legitimately lost track of time. I blame the dog, just so I can get the dog in a shot. Night, everyone.